Good evening and welcome to this episode 23 of the South African Equestrian Federation's podcast From the Horse's Mouth. I am your host tonight, Georgie Roberts. I am stopping my stream on this side, sorry. And it's my great pleasure to welcome the South African Equestrian Federation's brand new lead coach, Regula Niehaus, in the studio tonight to talk about the coach development program and what we're going to be doing over the next few years, in fact, in all of the disciplines over the National Federation. It can be said that coaching is the only way to ensure that a horse and rider combination can truly achieve their potential and that it's the ultimate pathway to all growth and knowledge, which makes it a really important discussion. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Regula. We're very glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's have a little discussion for those who don't know you, and please don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section for Regula. If you want to ask her any questions, take advantage of it, especially people who aren't in the province and can't corner you at a show. What is your background in coaching and teaching, and how did you become so passionate about this cause?
I think passion has driven me all my life long. I started riding 150 years ago.
Oh, good.
Back in Switzerland. Remember, I'm Swiss by birth, and I only came to South Africa in '93. I spent probably about 35 years in the corporate world, so I did very little coaching at that stage. But before I joined the corporate world, during my school time in Alice, I was a work rider, and I did a lot of work riding and backing young horses and producing young horses. And then I started coaching. And then I had always a couple of people on the sides. And when I came to South Africa, for the first 6 years, I was not involved with horses at all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was traveling all over Africa. My job was as corporate communications manager for Sub-Saharan Africa. So we set up structures throughout the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa. Senegal to Eritrea, Ethiopia, right down to South Africa. And then 6 years later, I decided, no, man, I can't live without horses.
No one can live without horses.
It's much cheaper.
It's cheaper, it's safer.
Yes, much safer, but the happiness is not there. And then I got involved and I started riding and coaching a couple of people. In 2015, I got retrenched from my job. And then I took a couple of consulting jobs, but I wasn't happy. This whole corporate environment for me is just
done.
It's a bit sick, let's face it. And I started coaching more and more. And since 2017, I'm a full-time coach again. And I coach predominantly in the dressage area, but also flat work for show jobs. I have some really good jobs.
And I think I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but I'm going to bring us back there. I think it's really interesting that dressage has always been highlighted to lead the coaching movement. Because if we can move away from having discipline titles, I think just good flat work is the foundation of every discipline.
Yes, my challenge is always that people call it dressage. Dressage starts a hell of a lot later. You first have to put the basics in place, and that is for absolutely every discipline the same. Every single person needs to first be the most comfortable on a horse, the most balanced, and be able to steer a horse. You need 4 things in a horse. You need to be able to turn left, turn right, go forward and stop. So that's the 4 main gears that you need in a horse. And unless you have that, you cannot start going into a discipline. So these people that come and jump on a horse and 2 days later they want to jump or go ride a dressage test, that is just not horsemanship.
That's not horsemanship, and I don't think with anything, and I must say if you speak to any high performance, like our gentlemen who run the podcast who are involved in golf, if you speak to any high performance sportsman, everyone has that appreciation for the process. Absolutely. And I think also in your corporate years, I'm always thrilled when I find people involved in the sport who have that corporate background as well as the equestrian knowledge, because I think it's pivotal.
Yes.
You know, if you've worked in corporate, you've done inadvertently some kind of coaching or development of people.
Very much so. There was one of my key issues was to develop young people. I ran high potential projects with high potentials for top management, fast tracking them. And I've always been involved in developing and growing people. That has always been my passion. It's never about me. It's about if I join or have a team that comes and works for me, if you don't want my job within the next couple of years, you're the wrong person to work with.
I like that.
So I need people to have aspirations.
And there's no motivator like someone coming for you regularly.
Absolutely, absolutely. So whoever wants the SAEF Lead Coach, please, guys.
Please come. So let's talk a little bit about your this incredible program, that DSA has run for coach skills development, I believe is what the program is called.
Yeah, it's technical skills development.
Technical skills. So there were two things that had to go into that. First, you had to identify and develop your lead coach, or not your lead coaches, your coach developers. And then from there, you've developed this program through them. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Okay, the coach developers were trained by FEI or through FEI courses over the past couple of years. And when I say past couple of years, it's probably almost 10 years.
I was going to say, I think they came out.
They started many, many years ago, and there was 2 different groups that were developed. And unfortunately, it all fell a little bit flat, like with lots of things. People get busy, stuff falls to pieces. And in 2018, end of 2018, Di Smith asked a number of people at the meeting whether somebody would be interested in taking the lead coach.
And suddenly, I always notice in those meetings, everyone's very quiet.
They go very quiet.
We all have a lot of complaints, but not a lot of solutions.
I'm known for being exceptionally stupid. Whatever trap there is, I will fall into it. So I happen to say, why not?
Free candy on the truck? Sure, great,
yes,
great idea.
Exactly. I didn't even get a T-shirt, and definitely no KFC, but I still voted for it. So,
good.
And then the first thing that I thought, if I want to run the coaching within DSA, I need to check what structures are already in place. Who are the people that are already there? Because whatever we do, it's never about me. There is no I in team. You need to work with a team, and you need to strengthen whatever you do by involving the subject matter experts. So then I decided the first step is to revive that coach developers group, and I brought them all back together and started working with them, did a refresher course with them. Our technical advisor is now at work, and we brought him in to help us. And
now, Quirk, of course, is like a renowned international coach. He's really, we're very, very fortunate to have him involved.
Very much so. And then COVID hit us. So we had the whole coach developer group was ready to start going out and running coaches courses all over the country.
Sounds like so much.
And then COVID hit us. So we all got told to stay at home. And for me personally, that was actually a wonderful thing because I like just staying at home. But then some of my coach developer friends pushed me into a corner and said, "You haven't done anything." And I had to say, "Yes, you're right." So I went back to the drawing board and said, okay, if we cannot go out there, what is the easiest way for us to reach out to the coaches and help them? And that's how we came up with the idea of running a basic skills training for coaches, for equestrian coaches, no matter where they're from. So we weren't looking at dressage coaches, we were looking at anybody. The mother out there that teaches somewhere in Timbuktu 3 and 4 that has got 2 children, that she needs to help on the horse. So we wanted to reach.
So I just want to be clear that this program, you don't have to be affiliated with anything, and you don't have to have any prior experience, and that's fantastic.
No,
that's I just want to commend you because I think that's a lovely way of opening up the discussion and the knowledge base.
The challenge that we have out there is that the basic knowledge is not there. The basic skills are not there. People do shortcuts.
We're running before we're walking.
Yeah. So we decided we need to address that, and we developed a wonderful, wonderful program of 21 webinars over the space of a whole year. So you start in February, goes through to October, November, with all basic skills. And that is for any coach at any level. That is what we now call Series 1. When we started that, we didn't know that yet.
You didn't know you would have Series 984.
Exactly. So now we have a Series 1. I might be remiss if I don't mention that we're actually now going into Year 3.
Yeah.
So we've done last year, we did Series 1, the rerun of Series 1, and then we did Series 2. Now, when we talk about Series 2, we're talking about the next level. So the Series 2 is now a little bit more dressage specific, where we start going into more dressage movements right up to medium. But we still have a lot of coaches that have joined us from all other disciplines. I actually have I think it's roughly about 60% is dressage, and the others are from all other disciplines.
That's actually a lovely percentage.
And it's amazing. And
listen, if you want to have a horse who can move sideways and be responsive over 1.60 meters,
you have to.
It has to happen.
You cannot ride a 1.20 meter course unless you can turn your horse upright.
Well, I mean, you can, but it's not going to be nice. You know?
And it's also for how long is your horse going to stay sound.
I think that's actually So when you and I initially spoke about it, I said to you, what is the what is the benefit of coaching, and we'll cover that more. But you said to me it's a welfare issue, actually.
Yes.
Good coaching means good riding, good training,
Yes.
and it benefits the horses.
Yes, it's a holistic approach.
Yeah.
You have in the olden days we had instructors, and instructors.
So what is the difference between that? Because I love that everyone says my instructor versus my coach, and what is the lingo?
The instructor is more or less the person that gives you a directional lecture. So you go in there and he tells you to go turn left, turn right. No, that was crap. Do it again, and then go forward, go backwards. Draf alsjeblieft. Or
hard galop.
Exactly. Yeah. Whatever they don't really do too much of what situation am I in right now. When you look at the coach, if you're a coach, you need to look at the entire situation. So when you go into a lesson and your pupil comes with the horses and you see that the eyes are a little bit red, and you actually need to first find out what's going on, and then you find out that they've just buried their rabbit. So they are in no position whatsoever to do top-level stuff. So there's a very simplistic way of explaining it, but what I'm saying is, as a coach, you have a holistic approach. You need to understand
the short term, the long term.
You need the mental state of the horse. You need the mental state of the rider. You need to see where are we in the training, where do we want to go, how do we get there, what is the fitness of the horse, what is the fitness of the rider. So you need to look at the entire package. You also need to, when you deal with children, you need to look at the parents. To what extent do I involve the parents, and where do I tell the parents?
And where they're getting support versus pressure.
So it's a little bit all. You are the custodian of the welfare of the horse, and actually of the welfare of all stakeholders, and the safeguarding of all stakeholders, so that you really make sure that whatever happens in a correct way. I never ever blame a rider for bad riding. I blame his coach.
That's actually lovely. And wouldn't it be very different if we looked at it like that?
Yeah.
So what are the benefits? Why should coaching be given the attention that we're obviously trying to give it? What is the importance of good coaching?
Because we say so. No? Okay.
That's the instructor coming out. Because I said, jawohl.
Without the coach, there is no top-level riding. And if you look at the international scenario, absolutely nobody that is up there rides on their own. Because you have two beings that have individual needs that you need to match. And they can only do that really well when they have somebody that helps them. So if there's no coach, the coaching out there needs to make sure that our horses are trained in a proper way, that people know where to start and how to progress and which direction to take, and can I take a Percheron and enter a 150 class. You know, so that you actually, you look at the ambitions that people have, you look at their goals, you have to make sure that their goals are achievable, that you don't
set them up for success.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's, and the coaching, unless you have proper coaches, you're not going to get there. Because people that work in isolation, they probably do their best. And sometimes, if you have somebody that is really, really talented, they can achieve quite a lot. But often, riding is a very unsafe sport. If you ask insurances, riding is one of the most unsafe sports.
They just laugh at us.
They don't really want horse riders. If you leave them all the riders out there to their own without the coach, who is going to make sure that they stay safe? Who is going to make sure that what they're trying to do, they are actually capable of doing, because they have had the training and they have had the understanding of how do I get a horse to perform whatever I want it to perform. So you have to make sure that the horses are safe, that the riders are safe, and that the sport progresses in a direction that we can ultimately, I know it sounds like really, really highfalutin, but we want medals. We want in 20 years' time, we want our South African riders to be overseas and people say, oh, wow, look, they come from South Africa. So we want to be recognized. We want people to understand that we're not somewhere at the back of beyond without skills.
And I think also, Regula, to your point about the medals, I would say it's even more than that. It's the way of keeping, you know, if you think amateurs take up 97% of our sport, if the amateurs are happy and safe and achieving and progressing, they stay in, and that's the financial foundation of the sport if we're going to look at it as a business.
Absolutely.
But when you look at, you know, FEI level riding, your coaches are so highly recognized And they are the center of the team. They really are the heart of it, and guiding riders and horses on virtually every step of the way, I would say. So I think also, and I'd like to touch on this, I think the social license aspect is really important, which is something you raised when we spoke before.
That for me is the most crucial point. Globally, we have a situation where the public wants to shut down equestrian sports. Because whatever you do, you can always take a split second of a movement or whatever, and you can make any rider look absolutely amazing or any rider look absolutely
We saw
bad.
that with Edward Gull in his final halt, I think, at the World Games.
So you can, the public puts enormous pressure on us to make sure that whatever we do in the equestrian sport is all above board, it is transparent, it looks at the welfare of the horse, it keeps everybody safe. And unless we really work even more towards being transparent and being really seen as doing the right stuff, we will be shut down at some stage.
Yeah, and I think from a dressage perspective, certainly, I think judges have a hand in driving that. But the coaches, if coaches are all on the same team and they know where the limits are and we don't push them, and I definitely think that's the way to get it. Yes.
Coaching starts at the basis.
I was going to say, let's discuss coaching with Grassroots, because you were very passionate about saying if we can't come in at the top level, we're going to grow it from the base up.
Yes. In the corporate world, you always say there's two approaches, the top-down approach, and if the top-down approach doesn't work, you do the bottom-up approach. So you don't wait for somebody to tell you what to do. We have, in a number of our disciplines, we have absolute top-level riders. I mean, if you look at our tent peggers, they get international medals. If you look at our show jumpers, there's some stunning, amazing couples out there that perform. But we have a very limited amount of people that are in the feeding systems. So our grassroots are not being developed to a level that they can just slot in and being taken over to the next higher level.
We had endurance in here a couple of weeks ago, and it was really interesting speaking to them, saying how they're trying, because it's hard to have a coach when you're 50 kilometers away from home. But they were saying how they're now making active steps to get grassroots riders in and inviting them, opening up the sport. And starting off, they're saying that the first step that they have to take is education.
Yes.
And saying, what do you need? Can you bring any horse? And this is where the coaches need to come in.
And what we want to do there from an SAEF perspective, we want to start looking at how can we work together. For example, our feeding system from the bottom is definitely Pony Club and Sanisa. But there's a lot of animosities and people don't talk to each other. And all of that, I want to start eliminating that. I want to seek dialogue with everybody. I want to hear from everybody, how do they feel, what is right, what is wrong, and how can we work together so that if we revive Pony Club and we get people to teach their kids more horsemanship, because I think the biggest challenge today is that a lot of children get put onto very expensive horses.
To go win a class.
And the groom is the one that looks after the horse. And I
think for me, that was the joy when I first started. Was I was like, oh no, I want to do that, and we do lose it. I think you also something that you mentioned, which I really loved, is you said, first of all, we all have a common goal in mind. We all have something in common.
Yes.
And to get back to that, whether you're doing polo or tent pegging or dressage, or you all love a horse.
Yes.
At some, there's, I mean, we're all clearly deranged. There's something wrong with all of us. But there's that. And then you said as well that there's no need to reinvent the wheel. So if there's anyone who's got knowledge or something to offer to this conversation, they must come in.
Absolutely. And I want to make it very clear. First of all, we need to start eliminating this us and them situation. We all have horses or ponies or donkeys or mules or whatever equine that we have that we work with, and that is our common denominator. Nobody is better than anybody else. Nobody has got more knowledge than anybody else. We all work together. And if we want to make sure that the equestrian sport can continue going forward, we need to work together.
Absolutely.
And when I say we need to work together, this is not about having, I mean, as you know, I'm in the process of putting my coaches commission together. That is going to be representatives from all the disciplines and the various provinces.
I just want to be clear, you came on board When on the 13th of March?
Officially on the 11th.
Okay, so it's very fresh.
So I'm terribly sorry that I'm not yet there. I'm a little bit slow, but I promise to pick up the pace.
I love the Swiss nature here. You know, we're gonna have a full commission in a week's time.
So we're going to put the commission together that we can start working together across the disciplines. But I'm not only going to work with this official structure. I'm also collating information on every single coach out there that wants to work with us, because everybody has got something to contribute. And if we need things done, we need to work with the people that have got the passion. So I don't want anybody that is on a committee because he's bored and lonely somewhere else. I need active people.
And I just want to be very clear, or because people often think there's some kind of prestige attached with being on a committee. No. There's none.
No.
It's the opposite.
No, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
And it's often, just to be clear as well, and I don't want to detract or dissuade any from getting involved. It's often thankless because, to the point that we said earlier on, a lot of people are going to complain. You said to me the other day, people are only going to criticize you if they're doing less than you. You're never going to be criticized by people doing more than you. But I think it's very easy for people to hop onto a social media thread and moan about what's not happening or happening.
Yes.
But when you say, okay, and that's how I've been caught getting onto committees, because people say, oh, you've got a lot to say. And then you go, okay, I should probably do something.
Yes.
And then it's hard.
But that's how you engage them.
Totally.
So I'm very happy if people start criticizing and start bitching and moaning, because that's the people that I will draw on. Because then they all need to have this say. One of the biggest things that I found is that we don't listen enough. We don't listen to each other. We don't listen to what has everybody got to say. And my first thing now is I'm meeting with as many of the disciplines as I can, as quickly as I can, and I'm learning a hell of a lot. I'm learning about disciplines that I knew the name of, for example, saddle seat, but I'm going to sit with them and learn all about how they do, what they do, and we find the common denominators. So we need to bring them all to the table.
Put our prejudices aside.
Yeah, completely.
Absolutely. So what role does the coaching commission play in sports? And when I say in sports, I'm now moving away from the individual horse and rider. When it comes to a structural situation, where does the coaching commission slot in? So I know you spoke to me and said that it's going to ultimately connect with SASCOC, it's going to connect with SAEF, and then the other coaching commissions for all the other sports are also being set up to run under the provinces.
The Coaches Commission will be the custodian of driving the implementation of the coaching career path. You know, one of our key aspects going forward is that we need to make coaching a recognized profession.
That's really great.
So that our profession is being recognized and acknowledged by people, because a lot of us coaches coach people that ride in their spare time. It's their hobby. So surely if it's a public holiday, of course you have time for me. Because I'm now off work, so surely you can come and teach me. But so that people start having a little bit more respect for us, but also that we can become more protected, because once the government is going to put the law in place that you can only earn a living as a coach if you have a qualification, we need to be ready. And here I want to just briefly touch on structures like Equasa, because I have no intention whatsoever to reinvent the wheel. I am a rather lazy person. I like using what is there and optimizing what is there. So I'm trying to go out there and together with all my colleagues, we want to form a relationship with all these institutions and use them. So that we have ultimately a situation where everybody is working into the same direction.
And you said, the highway is all going the same way.
Yes.
I really like what you say about that, because, and I'm sure we've all had it, where you say to someone, well, I'm a coach, and they go, oh, shame.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not. Or you say to your parents, I'm going to go, and they go, well, that's not really a career path.
Yeah.
So I think giving the coaches something, and I know the framework is a dirty discussion at the moment, but to look towards being able to work your way up there to a master coach level or the equivalent, which is the equivalent of having a master's degree, basically, after the amount of hours you've spent in the sun and the sand and on horses and off horses. I think it's...
But if we do that, we're not only making sure that we as coaches have got an environment that gives us satisfaction and that protects us and looks after us, we can also make sure that if you are out there and you're looking for a coach, you can very happily tap into our
and connect with the right one, because
exactly, and find the people that can safely bring you to where you want.
So I really like that, because what you're saying is we're not only protecting, the beginning of the conversation is we're protecting pupils and riders, but it's also protecting the coaches ultimately.
Big time.
That's fantastic.
Big time.
So, so when we spoke about the purposes of the Coaching Commission, we've just covered protecting horses, protecting riders, protecting coaches. Can we talk a little bit about standardizing coaching across disciplines? And I just want to talk about what that means, because it sends a lot of people into a panic.
It would, of course it would.
And I think when we talk about standardizing coaching, it's we think we're so far removed because we've got polo and saddle seat. But when you look at the coaching framework that has been proposed, it's so, I want to say it's vague, but it covers all sports. It covers cricket, swimming, hockey, tennis. So it's just putting in a framework for developing people that can develop their pupils, correct?
Yes. We need, for the equestrian coaches, we need a situation where, because our starting point is always the same. The starting point is we have a rider, we have a horse.
Left, right, stop, go.
Exactly, left, right, stop, go. We need to start training. So the first year is everything is the same, and that's what our tech skills course covers. And after the first year, then you can say, okay, I now have the basis together. I can ride in a straight line, and I can turn left, and I can do whatever I want to do. Now I want to start jumping. Or I decide I actually would like to rather go into endurance, or I want to go and learn how to shoot the bow and arrow of my horse, which is amazing. So when I say standardization of coaching, we need to all have the same language, and that's why I feel very strongly that we need to, this first basis of training of horse and rider has to be the same or more or less the same for absolutely everybody, no matter which discipline they go into, so that they all have a basis from which to work from. It's like if you go to varsity but you haven't done your primary school, you
can't read or write.
Not going to succeed. You might be an indigo child or a multiple talent of whatever, but the majority of the people needs to learn the basis. They need to walk before they learn to run.
I think also what you raised earlier on is there's some similarities in corporate coaching, mindset coaching, which is the mental welfare of the pupil or, the subjects. And obviously it's complicated with horses because you have two. You've got in equestrian sport, you've got these two individuals, which I love. I think it's fantastic. But these commonalities trickle through with good coaching, regardless of what you do.
Yes, big time.
I think that's fantastic. I'm just big so fascinated about that.
As a coach, you need to understand you actually need a little bit of
goal setting.
Not only that, you also need to understand bodies.
Yes.
You need to understand the body of the horse and the body of the rider. You need to understand what happens if I tighten my shoulder here, what happens to the horse. So you need to understand body. And the big aspect of a coach is psychology. You need basic understanding of psychologies and types of people and what makes people tick and all of that. Else you cannot tickle the best out of them.
Well, I think it's also interesting to see, and a lovely example for me is always the powerhouse from 20 years ago of Ankie van Grunsven and Chef Janssen. And here was this world-class coach who didn't compete, and someone who was going to, and often you see a little bit of a disparity there where people go, how can someone be a great coach if they aren't necessarily, riding with me in the arena or doing, and it's a totally different sphere. You can be an amazing rider and not be a good coach.
Yes.
So,
that's lots of examples.
We spoke briefly about commonalities across stakeholders, but who are some of the stakeholders in our sport? We've discussed Sinisa and Pony Club. Obviously, then we've got all of our disciplines.
Yes.
Then you've spoken also about the military possibly being an example of joining. So it's literally going to cover any horses and riders in South Africa.
We're trying to be as inclusive as possible again, so that we can reach out to everybody. The aim is to help everybody that is out there. So yes, I had a meeting with some of the military people and discussing a little bit about what their needs are and how it works on their side. They also mentioned the police.
Oh,
we have
course.
horse riders in the police.
Yeah.
So wherever there is people that work with horses, we need to help them.
That's going to be amazing.
Them.
And will that'll all come under the SAEF umbrella, the coaching commission?
I'm not so sure to what extent they will all be under the coaches commission. So because the coaches commission is the structural aspect. That's I wanted to say the legal aspect, but that's the management structure that we need to put in place as required by SASCOC. We need to have a coaches commission, and it's also the commission that will allow us to distribute information and to gather information, so that we have this two-way communication.
It's about marrying the needs of everyone.
But we need to, maybe there are some affiliated people and bodies that need to come into for example, Swaziland. I'm also speaking to one of the main coaches in Swazi, that we bring them onto the board. I have requests, because we trained some coaches from Namibia and Zambia and Zimbabwe and Botswana through our tech skills. They have all asked me, is there any chance that they can stay close to us? And my feeling is, of course. Yeah. You know, they might not officially fall under SAEF, but if they can piggyback on what we're doing, we can help them out there as well.
I just really love the inclusive nature of this, and I think it's really quite a difference to see how people perceive the sport as opposed to the movements that we're actually making, you know, to change it. So what are some of the objectives of the coaching commission? What is the goal here? We've spoken about, you know, developing coaches, but nuts and bolts, how's that going to look in the short term, the medium term, and the long term? In an ideal world, inshallah, God willing.
In the short term, I think before we can start running, we need to actually first establish the present reality. We all have sort of an idea what is going wrong out there, but do we really know? So I want to start first and foremost with the skills gap analysis, that we actually go out there and check who is coaching, what are they coaching, where are they coaching, why are they coaching, have they got qualifications, don't they have qualifications, are they aware
why don't they have qualifications?
Exactly, are they aware of all the aspects to coaching, etc. So, and that's where I need the help from all the disciplines, because we need to do that across board, so that we have a clear understanding. This is the picture that we're faced with. And then we need to say, okay, if this is the picture, based from that, we can develop our strategy, where to go, how to go forward. And that's not my strategy. Again, that's the team that needs to decide where we're going. I personally believe you do not eat an elephant in one go. You cut them up into tiny little pieces.
One bite at a time.
Yes. And for me, my passion is to first start at the basis. I would like to go into Pony Club. I would like to chat to the Sanisa people. But I would also like to start including the riding school. We need to start where people start riding. We need to fix that.
That's great.
So that once we have that sort of under control, then we can go to the next. At this point in time, we're not going to meddle with the high performance people. I want to put everybody.
I think
at
also
ease.
because they're at the top of, you know, they're a very small community who are doing it
and
pretty
they're
well.
doing a very good job. So it's not for me to now go and interfere with them straight away, but if in the long run we can start working with them and feeding into that system.
Well, that's the dream, right? Is your grassroots, your riding school rider lands on a podium one day, or whatever the case is.
Absolutely. And it's not all about competition riding. So I think we need to be
if they're happy and
there's
enjoying
a lot of people that don't really want to do competition.
Well, the majority of riders, I think.
They want a happy horse and they want a happy rider. So even if you're a happy hack, but you fall off every third time you go out.
You're not going to be such a happy hacker.
Exactly. And if we can help you by not falling off because you're now balanced and you stay on your horse, we have made you a happy person as well. And
you're likely to stay in. I think what always fascinates me about the horse industry is the knock-on. I don't know if you've ever seen that graph about how many jobs one racehorse supports.
Yes, I've seen that.
It's amazing. And it's realizing the knock-on effects that what one horse and rider keep in business. It's the person who sells the numbers, it's the saddles, it's the grooming kits, it's the farrier, it's the dentist, it's the vet. Yes. So it's that whole ecosystem that we really, I don't want to say we want to trap people into, but definitely we want to keep them a happy customer for years to come.
Yes, happy, healthy.
Absolutely. So you said obviously you want to do a skills analysis first, but we've spoken about coach developers and dressage is the way of going. you said to me that we have to start here because specialization comes much later down the pipeline.
Yes.
And I'm just really interested by that because a lot of the time we go into a journey with the outcome in mind. And you're saying that ideally what we want to do is we want to flip that narrative a little bit and we want to solidify these skills in riding schools in similar situations.
That's as a starting point.
And then from there.
And then from okay. When you learn military strategies, you learn that when you're in a situation that, let's say you go into a battle and you have a troop that goes with you into battle, but you need to consistently adapt to where the enemy goes. So you cannot have a full strategy right at the beginning. You need to keep your troops busy while you, as the leader, develop the next.
That's very diplomatic, Regula.
So you first keep everybody busy, and
they would have to do that first
and then
level
you go
anyway.
back to them and you give them the next step. So for me to, at this point in time, tell you exactly where we want to go and how we want to get there would be a little bit...
Putting the cart in front of the horse.
Yeah, because it all depends how fast can we move and how far can we go. The sky's the limit.
That's
what we ultimately want, we want an environment where we have trained coaches. We are going to set up a huge communication structure. We're going to have a website that is going to be a coaches portal.
And currently that website is, just if people want to check it out, it is equestriancoaching.co.za.
Yes.
Okay.
We've established that for our tech skills courses. We're going to now expand that because we need a portal that is a home, because I want an equestrian community that talks to each other, that works with each other, that has got a home where they can get information, where they can engage with like-minded people, but also where the clients can find the correct coach. So we will have a coaches database there. I have so many ideas, and it's just right now I don't feel it's the right moment to share everything unless I have been able to share it with my commission.
Fair enough.
They need to be. I need to first get them on board and get their buy-in.
And who is that commission going to be? That's the next step.
Well, your guess is as good as mine. No, we have asked every single discipline to send us a person or two people. It has to be somebody that is dedicated, committed, and has passion. So I don't need...
Do they need to be registered with any body at the moment?
They do, because they have to represent their discipline.
So they just need to be, but I'm saying from a coaching perspective, they don't need to...
I don't necessarily need them, no.
Okay.
No, but they need to be registered with their discipline, and they need to be respected members in their community, because they need to be people that have got a bit of a say in the matter. And I need some opinion leaders that come on board as well, that we can spread the gospel a little bit quicker. But I need people that are active. I don't need people that want to go and sit on a committee because they need a platform to talk. I need people that are committed, that will show passion, that will be happily going back and doing work. So this is unfortunately not the commission that is just going to meet twice a year and have some sandwiches and some beers. But it is a working commission.
Okay. And for people who do want to get involved, what does that work realistically look like before we either flood your inbox or put everyone off? What if we're trying to drive people now to connect with you, what will they need to be prepared to do?
Currently, we have, on the one side, I need the members for the Coaches Commission, but they have to come from the discipline. So they cannot come through me. So whoever comes directly to me, I have to send them back to the commission.
And does each discipline at the moment have a lead coach?
No, they don't. That's part of the challenge right now.
So it's also our disciplines have some work to do. So the disciplines,
absolutely. So it has all
our
gone
stakeholders
a little bit,
rather.
It has fallen a little bit flat, and whether it's right or wrong, or
it happens.
It's nobody to blame. It's just we now have an opportunity to start fresh. And to do that with a lot of enthusiasm and passion.
I think also if people drive the disciplines, the disciplines go, okay, we have to do this.
So I have the people that will come into the commission through the disciplines, but I also want to work with the coaches out there that are very dedicated and want to do stuff. And I have already started a whole database of people that have sent me emails and said, oh, I want to be involved. And I said, please, by all means, anybody out there that wants to be involved, At the beginning, it will be more on a basis where we ask them questions and they have to answer questions, or where we keep them informed of what's happening. But again, once I have the commission, and once the commission has decided what we're going to do next and how we're going to do next, then I can start actively working. But unfortunately, it's all a little bit too early, because it's not what I want.
Well, I mean, it has been a whole how many days, Regula? You really are just.
I know,
just
I'm a little
falling.
bit slow, and I promise to.
So one of the questions I was going to ask you is, what are the obstacles facing us in this? And I think you've just answered that. It's really just that we have to reignite, I suppose, the interest in the disciplines, and just get everyone to. I think we're also in the equestrian space, or in any small, like all of the. I spoke to someone the other day, and I said, the horse industry is it's so like small and intimate and incestuous, and she said, you've got to come to dog shows. It's even worse. She says, and I had a good giggle. So we think we're special. But I think I think if we can move past the us and them narrative, to your point, and we can start to welcome people into the space, those obstacles will hopefully disappear.
I truly hope so. I also think up to now, the coaches are individual firefighters.
That's actually a lovely way of looking at it.
Yeah. Coaches work in a bubble. They work in their own little bubble, and when they go to a show,
and they look over to see what the other.
Oh my God, look at that one! Oh no, this is horrendous. And they have never really gone outside and wanted to be part of a community, because nobody has tried to form a community. That's and now we need to bring all these individual soldiers into a company or a community rather, where they start working together and understand there's like-minded people that have got the same issues. They have the same problems that they face. They have the same obstacles, the same joys. And whatever there is, we need to approach it with a very positive attitude, because there's no need going to bitch and moan about this is not happening and that is not happening.
I think also if you're giving people the opportunity to, and I've personally felt that this was one of the issues in the coaching sphere, is unless you were willing to go and find an international coach and train with them, there was no clear pathway for you to develop as a coach. Yeah. Are you trying to be a Grand Prix rider? No, I want to coach people. Well, there's not really anything for that. So there's this opportunity to develop yourself and become better and get better quality pupils, perhaps, or to go overseas or whatever your goals might be. And then secondly, the pupils should be wildly excited by this, I think, at the prospects of us getting, better feedback from the coaches and better quality tuition and insights and things.
So the one aspect that we haven't touched on at all is mentorship. So
we haven't.
And that's also that comes again through my coach developers group. And we are going to expand that coach developers group. So I'm in the process of putting a proposal together that we are going to run a next coach developer workshop. And there is a whole list of selection criteria, but the invitation will go out to any coach. And anybody that thinks that they meet these criteria is more than welcome to contact us. And then it's we're going to have a selection committee that will always include the specific discipline people, but also people from SAEF and maybe even some fellow coach developers. And it's going to be on a basis of we need people that meet the needs and fit the mold.
And I bring the right attitude. Yes. That's really essential. It's got to be very people who want to grow this. I think that's wonderful. So when it comes to who can get involved and how, anyone can get involved.
Anyone can get involved.
But the pathway is to go at this point through their disciplines.
If they want to become lead coach for a discipline and a member of the coaches commission, they have to go through the discipline. If they want to get involved with whatever is happening and stay in touch with us, they can come straight to me.
And what is that? Emailing you at Lead Coach?
Yeah, please. Unfortunately, I am very bad with answering phones. All my friends know that. My phone is always on silent. I never answer a phone. And most of the time, it's because I'm in a lesson.
I was just going to say, it's spoken like you can't have it ringing in the middle of a dressage test.
No, but I answer WhatsApps.
Okay.
And I definitely answer email.
Okay. So
the easiest is to contact me through email.
Okay, and that is Lead Coach.
Lead Coach at saef.org.za.
saef.org.za. I'm not going to give you your your cell phone number. If you want to do that, you can do that. That's not going to be on me. Regula, is there anything else that you would like to add to the people who are listening right now?
What is? I'm not sure.
Have you had
I talk a hell of a lot? I know that.
No, I know we've just gone off. It's good. Have you had what great influence have the coaches in your life added?
I have been extremely lucky that I was at a young age taught by very, very top level coaches. But that was back in Switzerland.
But also, I think it's interesting. Like to your point, what to you defines a top level coach? Like, what are the qualities that you think that they brought to that sphere that you would like to carry on?
In terms of equestrian, they brought incredible tech skills, knowledge that has always been for me amazing. If somebody can position me on a horse so that my horse does exactly what they want it to do, that for me is
witchcraft.
The essence of a good coach. Yeah. That the coach rides the horse and I am just the instrument. And that has fascinated me. But I also have in my professional career, in the corporate world, I had great mentors. And the mentors are the ones that push you, that mold you, that form you, that guide you. Because a mentor is a lot more than just somebody that tells you this is the next step.
Absolutely. I think it's also that aspirational element of a mentor. Like I've looked at people and gone, not just like I want to ride how you're riding, but I want to be you. I want to be that ethical or have those relationships and something to aspire to. And I think that's ultimately sometimes the goal of high performance sport. But coaching brings that down to a much baser level, especially for your starry-eyed kids. You know, it's really special.
Especially for kids.
Absolutely.
They need somebody to look up to and to work with.
Regula, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to look forward to having an update from you in 13 days.
Fantastic. I'll get ready. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Don't forget that you can email any questions, queries, or offers of enthusiasm to leadcoach@saef.org.za. We have been speaking to our newly appointed South African Equestrian Federation's lead coach of the Coaching Commission. It's lots of words. That's Regula Niehaus, who has been running the DSA Technical Skills Program now for the last few years. My name's Georgie Roberts. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 7 o'clock.